Hey everyone, this is part 2 of my family's trip to Virginia and West Virginia. In this video we're going to Roanoke, Virginia, New River Gorge National Park, and Blacksburg, Virginia. But if you missed it, in the last video we went to Shenandoah National Park as well as a couple towns in Virginia like Leesburg, Front Royale, and Charlottesville. So go check that out if you haven't already, but this is part 2. So we continued down the Blue Ridge Parkway towards Roanoke, Virginia. Didn't know much about this city when we got there, but I was excited to explore driving in. Seemed like it had a cool vibe to it. Went to a place called Beamer's 25, named for the former Virginia Tech head coach. Got some good pretzels and wings, some fried pickles, and probably the best burger I may have ever had in a very long time. They used like this blend of meat that was just so tender. Honestly, I'm raving about that burger still. Then we walked around downtown a little bit. They had this cool market during the day. Obviously it's closed because we were there in the evening, but it looked like it was probably a really cool setup. Maybe one day I'll get to go back and explore, but it was a whole outdoor plus indoor setup. And then we went up to the Roanoke Star, which is a big star they have that lights up at night to watch the sunset. Good view of the city. Overlook, with the sun setting behind the city. Seems like the sort of place that would be cool during the day to get a good view of the city, or at night to see the star lit up, but I feel like sunset is just the perfect time to go because we got a bit of both. Got to watch the sun go down over the horizon, got to see the star light up before making our way to our Airbnb in West Virginia. Peterstown, West Virginia, little Airbnb, but it had a functioning water wheel, which is sick. Anyway, so here's some pictures from the day. Roanoke was just super cool town. I felt like I got a decent number of pretty good pictures there. Golden hour helped, got to work with the sun in a cool way, and then the sunset obviously is just beautiful. But a lot of cool like art on the walls and stuff as well, cool buildings and such. But yeah, that's the end of the day. So we woke up in our cool Airbnb, which had a view of this creek, which is pretty cool, and ultimately headed into New River Gorge Park. Our first stop was the Sandstone Falls Loop Trail. There's the Upper Falls. It had this cool boardwalk portion that you kind of walk on. It's obviously a boardwalk, so it's not like a real trail. We ultimately found this beach where Toby chased a butterfly. But the beach is cool because you'd go out on the rocks and get a good look at the main falls. So here's the main falls. And it was really pretty, kind of layered fall effect. And then after that, we kind of got off the boardwalk and went on the Island Loop Trail, which is more of a trail, as you can see here, rocky and roots and stuff. But it wasn't very long, and it just kind of took you around the island. After that, we headed out, and you actually had to backtrack out of the park, go through this town here, and then go back into the park because there was no bridge connecting this visitor center, which is the Sandstone Falls Visitor Center, to Sandstone Falls. So despite sharing a name, they're like 40 minutes drive from each other, even though they're right across the water, because you had to go back down and then across and then back over. But then after that, we were in the park. We headed to the Grand View Overlook. There's a bunch of hikes you can do in this area, but we decided to just go to the main overlook, get this really awesome view of the Grand View. It was really pretty. It kind of reminded me of Horseshoe Bend in Arizona, in the Grand Canyon, but greener, more alive. And then from there we headed to lunch to a place called Cheddar's. This is a chain place, but they don't have it near us, so we had never been there before. It was one of the only dog-friendly options in the area. The food was fine. And then we headed back into the park, went over the famous New River Gorge Bridge before going to the New River Gorge Bridge Visitor Center, or Canyon Rim Visitor Center, to get a view of the bridge. Fun fact about this bridge is that it's actually 2 Statues of Liberty and 1 Washington Monument tall from the arch to the canyon floor, which is honestly crazy. It's a huge bridge, great views. The next thing we did is we went to the Endless Wall Trail. It was a trail recommended by my friend Ryan. Really cool vegetation and interesting, environment on the actual trail portion. Go through some weird bushes with weird leaves and stuff. Almost feels tropical. There's a bridge. Rivers, creeks. It was really nice, but this trail is named for the Endless Wall, which is just a portion where you can pop out, from trail to these overlooks where you get a view of the river, as well as this, very steep, dangerous cliff wall. You have to be careful on this trail. There are drops, there's not something holding you back. There's no ropes or railings. We went to Diamond Point Overlook, which is like the main overlook. Gets this awesome view of the river. We got to see a train come through the valley, which is cool. And then you could also get this view here of the bridge. It was really hazy because the sun was kind of behind it, so we didn't actually really get to see the bridge, but you could kind of see it. And tomorrow you'll see we'll get a better view of the bridge. Here is a ladder that you can actually take to go up or down from this trail to the canyon floor. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a really cool trail. I would definitely recommend. One of my favorite hikes of this entire trip so far. And what better way to end the day than some s'mores and a campfire back at our awesome Airbnb. I made a s'more, and then my dad actually wanted to make some of that popcorn that you hold over the fire, and then it puffs up, and then you get campfire popcorn, which is cool. But yeah, that's the end of our first day at New River Gorge. The next day, we got up to do the Long Point Trail, which was a fairly flat trail that led to a great view of the New River Gorge Bridge. Probably the best view. I don't think you could have a better, more head-on view than this trail provided. It's a little rocky, some roots and stuff, but pretty easy overall. We then drove down into the New River Gorge. Got to go under the bridge, which was cool, and then we went across this other bridge. When you would look out the side, you'd actually get a view of the bridge from there too. Once we got over to the other side of the New River, we stopped, went down to a little beach that they had, and then I did some climbing along some rocks. We hung out on the beach for a little bit. And this was all just with the view of the New River Gorge Bridge, which is like the main attraction of the park. It's kind of like the main thing, so it was cool, to get different views from different angles of it. I like the view from the hike better than the underneath view, but I know the underneath view is also something that people like. Overall, what do I think of New River Gorge? I actually really liked it. It's the newest national park. December of 2020 is when it became a national park. And I actually liked it better than Shenandoah, personally. I think the water aspect is just great, and I had a lot of fun, exploring the park, seeing all the different attractions. We headed back to the Airbnb for a little break before heading into Blacksburg, Virginia, which is home to Virginia Tech. And speaking of Virginia Tech, we actually started our time in Blacksburg by doing a little walkthrough of campus. I love walking through other college campuses and seeing, how other college campuses are laid out and what life is like there. Obviously, it's the off season, so it's pretty dead. This is the drill field, the drill yard or something, which is like their main quad. But overall, it was a cool campus, very spread out, very wide open spaces, but still very nice buildings. I love the architecture and stuff. Then we explored downtown Blacksburg. Again, it's not during the semester, so there's not as much going on. And we did this place called the Maroon Door for dinner. Those balls you see there, they're like mozzarella bites. They were delicious. All the apps were good. The rest of the food was okay. And we capped off the evening by heading over to the sports complex to see their football stadium. They have a huge football program at Virginia Tech, and I wanted to see if you could poke your head in the stadium. You can't, but we got to go see this cool plaza with a statue of Beamer. You may remember he's the coach that the restaurant was named after at the beginning of this video in Roanoke. And from there, we pretty much just headed out. So that's going to do it for this video. Next video, we are headed to Harper's Ferry National Historical Park in West Virginia. So stay tuned for that one. It'll be coming very soon. But as for this video, thank you so much for watching.